Sure. My name is Chip Audett. I'm the Director of Admissions and Financial Aid at Cardigan Mountain School, which is a junior boarding school in Canaan, New Hampshire, which is about 2 hours north of Boston. Cardigan is an all-boys junior boarding school for grades 6 through 9, roughly 235, 240 boys. I've been there. This is my 18th year at Cardigan. My son graduated from Cardigan in 2016. He then went to Middlesex School and recently graduated from Northeastern University, and he has a job. So the system works. At least it did in my situation. I'm going to talk in general about junior boarding school. I think many of you may have gotten that card. The Junior Boarding School Association is 10 schools. They're listed there. You've got those 10 schools. Some are all boys schools. Others are co-ed. There currently isn't an all girls junior boarding school, but as I said, co-ed or all boys. And they're all in different parts of New England. Although you do have North Country School as well in Lake Placid, New York. And they range in size and obviously location. And so there's a pretty wide variety. Why junior boarding school? When I started in admissions way back when, junior boarding schools were often referred to as pre-prep schools. So the focus was, and is really to, one of the goals is to help the boys and girls prepare for high school boarding school, secondary school in the U.S. For our international students, many of our schools will offer English as a second language if that's needed. But the curriculum is generally focused on a very traditional liberal arts pre-college prep curriculum that is enhanced by wonderful opportunities in the arts and athletics. We also focus a lot both on community, what it means to be in a part of a community. In our case, a school community, and want to develop the boys and girls and their understanding of having a responsibility in the community beyond themselves, as well as taking leadership roles in that community. One of the focuses of our programs is the secondary school counseling process. Most schools will start that usually in the late winter, early spring, when the boys and girls are in grade 8. We want the goal is to find the right fit for each of the students as they move on to high school. One of the advantages of a junior boarding school is we're only working with middle-aged students. It's the independence of boarding school, but it's very much structured independence. I had I have a colleague from a secondary school who's actually listening to this, and she has 4 boys from Cardigan that are just entered Berkshire School, and we were talking about structured independence, and one of the boys, I think that's there, suddenly realized he had a lot more freedom, and is still adjusting to that. I think would be a safe assessment. But it is a very structured program. There's a high level of supervision and accountability, but it is independence. It's boarding school. Also, particularly for boys, but I think this also holds true for girls. At the middle school age, they learn by doing. And so while our curriculum is very traditional in the sense that with the focus on the for liberal arts discipline, the manner in which we teach and deliver the curriculum is geared toward how these children learn at that age. I don't know what's going on up there, but a couple of the in terms of the application process, we would have just the basic family information. It's very similar to a secondary school. The parent and student statement, obviously the transcript, teacher recommendations, testing, and that's actually, I would say some schools have remained test optional after COVID, but certainly not all. We have remained test optional, but you obviously want to check with the schools to which you may be applying. Teacher recommendations, transcript, in the interview. If at all possible, I would stress that you visit the schools. We all have websites. We all have view books. We don't put any bad pictures on the website or in the view books. But you can't get a sense of the school community and the sort of the culture and the ethos of a school without visiting. Some of you also may use an educational consultant or an educational agent. That's certainly not necessary. And with junior boarding, it's a very small number of schools, and you can probably do most of the research and figure out the schools to which, or the schools that might be a good fit for your son or daughter on your own. But certainly if not, then engage a consultant. I think a lot of the secondary schools use a clearinghouse such as Verican. We as a junior boarding school don't. We're not overwhelmed with applications from any one country or region. But you probably want to be aware that some schools will do that, will use that in order to sort of qualify students before they move on with the process of completing the application. Cell phone policy. Everybody asks about technology at our schools. At Cardigan, we don't allow our students to have cell phones. They obviously travel with them. They then they turn them in with their travel documents, but they don't have them on a daily basis. But we have a one-to-one laptop program. Each of the boys is issued the first year a MacBook. It has all the stuff that they need and none of the stuff that they don't. And the reason, probably the main reason behind our policy is we want to be a face-to-face community. We don't want the kids just walking around looking at a screen. But by no means are we trying to limit communication between the students and the families. They can do that very well these days through the computer, with a computer. But each school has a different policy on that. We've seen some trends since COVID. I think there is really an understanding that an approach to the whole child, academic growth and development, personal growth and development, character development, and a commitment to just as I said, the whole child development, not just academics, has really become more prevalent after in the post COVID years. Also, and probably not so much for Thai students, but in many countries, and including the U.S., the competition for enrollment in secondary schools has increased. And as a result, a lot of families are now considering junior boarding school as a good preparation for prior to applying to secondary schools. As I said, that's one of our goals is to prepare these students for admission to some of the top boarding schools in the country. But I will stress too that we want the experience at junior boarding school to be valuable to a boy or girl in a family in and of itself, not just as a means to a end. As I said, they're all boys schools and they're co-ed schools. Of the all boys schools, we have Cardigan Mountain, Eagle Brook, Hillside, and Fessenden. When I talk about, when people ask me, well, what do you think the advantage of an all boys school is? I tell them and again, my son went to Cardigan. At this middle school age, for the boys, because they are growing and maturing and developing typically at a pace a little bit slower than their female counterparts. What we see as one of the main benefits is that it eliminates sort of the social posturing, peer pressure for the boys, worrying about what the girls will think or trying to impress the girls by doing something that they probably, just doing what we call knucklehead boy, middle school boy stuff. It eliminates the pressure for them to do those sort of things. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, with co-ed schools, they're living in I would say they're living in an environment that's more typical of what they will live in as they move on out of school, out of university, and into the real world. And it will foster healthy relationships between boys and girls. Most of our boys and most of the boys at the other all boys schools will go on to co-ed schools, and they adjust just fine. Some of the financial considerations are obviously, if you've done any research into this, you'll see that the tuition is high, it's expensive, and it doesn't always include the other additional fees. So the only reason I put that up there is because when you are making, planning for this type of expense, you want to consider the full cost of attendance, not just the tuition, but you have to get additional or special health insurance. Does a school charge for any particular program? And if the financial question is an important one for you, don't be afraid to ask about financial assistance. We at Cardigan, in all the schools, have a pretty generous financial aid budget. Some schools will offer financial aid to international families, others may not. But those are questions that you want to ask if that's a consideration. Also, one of the most common questions is, all right, well, for example, we have Thanksgiving break coming up. That's 10 days. Do the dorms stay open? At Cardigan and at most schools, no, but most schools will provide opportunities and help facilitate homestays. And when I say a homestay, it's not just some family that agrees to take a boy or girl for Thanksgiving. It's one of the other current family living in the United States that offers to take the student with for those holidays. When my son was there, we always had 2 or 3 students with us, his classmates for Thanksgiving. It's a uniquely American holiday. Much of it is geared around eating turkey and watching American football, which is a different experience for most of the kids. Schools will also often provide or offer and sponsor trips during those long vacations. For example, Thanksgiving, many schools will have a group of faculty members that will take students on a special trip. They may go to Boston or to Vermont to go skiing or just things like that. But they don't. The dorms don't stay open. but it's not as if the students have to all leave and go home either. Signature programs. I think there are two sort of areas that most boarding schools, oh, yes, done? 5. Okay, got it. Two areas. One would be study skills, which would include organization, time management, helping them understand their own learning styles, strengths, weaknesses, and as I said, executive functioning skills that are organization, time management, all those skills that are necessary for success in secondary school. At Cardigan, it's called PEAKS, which is, you can read the acronym. I guess PEAKS is because we're Cardigan Mountain School. STEM is very important, and it's a part of every school's science curriculum. And obviously, there's a growing importance of technology and innovation at every level of education. At Cardigan, it's a program called, as you can see, Charles C. Gates Invention and Innovation Program. But that's a focus of all the junior boarding school. Secondary school counseling, as I said, that's as parents, I'm sure that's what you're thinking of down the road as well. Finding the right fit for each student is very important. Most schools will have sponsor school fairs on campus where you'll have 100+ secondary schools come and speak with the students about their schools. Similar to this, only it's a captive audience. It's on our campuses, and you get to meet with, or the students get to meet with the school representatives. We all have very strong relationships with the admission offices to the schools that our students are applying to, and we are very strong advocates for our schools, or for our students at those schools. That's just our graduating class where they go, and you can get this information for any school, and it will look similar. Athletics at junior boarding schools is important too. We want them, the emphasis on athletics is, or the philosophy is, that these boys and girls need to be active every day, and there's a real advantage to being a member of a team. Most schools will offer a level for any boy that wants to play any or girl that wants to play any sport, in sport. Again, that's us. We're on a peninsula. We refer to ourselves as the Point often. We're on a lake, so we also have a summer program. Many of the schools will have summer program. Ours happens to be co-ed. It starts with age 8, goes up to age 15, and it's a combination of academic enrichment in the morning and then summer camp in the afternoon. We're on a lake, so in the mountains. It's a very good setting for a summer program. Ours is 4 weeks long, and again, that's our team. We've been together for a long time. This is my 18th year. John and Jessica Bayruth are on the left side of the picture. It's their 21st year at Cardigan, and so and then Courtney and Sarah, they keep us all organized. They're our source for executive functioning skills. Any questions? I know I rushed a little bit. I'm not very good at budgeting time. I guess I need a little help with that. But if you do have questions, I know there are probably 3 or 4 other junior boarding schools represented, and I would encourage you to go by and speak to any or all of them.